Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Willey, the Director of Volunteer and Community Education with Wilshire Health and Community Services. Every year at this time, Wilshire Hospice, like many hospices all over the world, hosts this annual Light Up a Life ceremony of remembrance. We offer you this ceremony as a respite in a time that can be very chaotic. This is a peaceful place for us all to remember our loved ones, to grieve individually, and to grieve as a community. In coming together, we are also acknowledging a powerful bond of love. Love also brings us here and unites us even in the sadness and the sorrow we feel. In fact, it is the gift of sorrow in our lives that it can open us up to an even deeper experience of love. During this ceremony, we will share with you music, poetry, ritual, and some thoughts about grief. We, the staff and volunteers of Wilshire Hospice and the Wilshire Center for Grief, Education, and Healing, hope that you will find in this time together a measure of comfort and healing. We are deeply honored that you have chosen to celebrate your memories and your loved ones here with us tonight. Thank you again for allowing us to share this ceremony with you. I now invite spiritual counselor John McAndrew to give us an opening blessing.
We hear so many words, and we'll hear a lot tonight. The most common thing I hear from every one of our patients when I visit, I ask them, what are you most grateful for? And their answer is pretty consistent. I am thankful to be alive. Let's listen now to this moment, to this silence, to this remembering. Let it quiet us, let it disturb us, let it touch our grief, let it touch our need, let it break our resolve, let it shrink our certainties and enlarge our wonder. I am thankful to be alive, to be in this moment, to share this remembering. Let me find you, my beloved one, in presence now. Beside us when beauty brightens, when kindness glows, and music echoes eternal tones. May all that is ungrateful in us blossom into a future graced with the love we remember and hold today.
Good evening. I'm Denise LaRosa, and I'm the bereavement manager of Wilshire Hospice. One of the critical aspects of grief to maneuver is the numbness, or that feeling of emptiness that often occurs when grief is anew. This is one way our bodies help us deal with the intense, deep grief that are on the heels of realizing that this loss is real. This intense grief can manifest as emotional and physical pain, and can affect us just as much as any injury and comes in waves when we least expect it. Grief is the process of loss. Sorrow is one of the expressions of grief, the distress caused by loss. It is the emotion that the heart is feeling and often is much stronger and deeper than sadness. Feeling our sorrow reveals a great deal about ourselves. It can strengthen and grow us and can give us the tools to help us deal with the messiness of life. It aids us in creating empathy for ourselves and what we're going through. We become more flexible and open to change and may even learn to be more comfortable with our own mortality. It may be our morality. Sorrow is a natural response to death, and along with grief, creates a passage that is unique to each person. The mental and spiritual journey that comes from acknowledging the pain is the beginning of crossing that bridge towards our healing process and can open us up once again to love. This is the way our heart heals too, slowly, deliberately, and naturally. The pain we feel speaks directly to the love we carry for that person. And when we honor and allow ourselves to experience our grief and sorrow, we also honor our loved one and the love we still feel. We are the best memory of them. Mending our sorrow is finding deeper recognition of the preciousness of life, peacefully, kindly, and lovingly. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Melinda Weeks, and I'm one of the nurses with Wilshire Hospice, and I will be reading The Unbroken by Roshini Rea. There is a brokenness out of which comes the unbroken, a shatteredness out of which blooms the unshatterable. There is a sorrow beyond all grief which leads to joy, and a fragility out of whose depths emerges strength. There's a hollow space, too vast for words, through which we pass with each loss, out of whose darkness we are sanctioned into being. There is a cry deeper than all sound, whose serrated edges cut the heart, as we break open to the place inside, which is unbreakable and whole, while learning to sing.
ship, and she sails the sea. She's laden deep, as deep can be, but not so deep as the love I'm in. And I know now, if I sink or swim, the water is wide, I can't cross over, and neither have I wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and I, and both shall row, my love and I.
Hi, my name is Laura D. Haven. I am a bereavement counselor with Wilshire Hospice, and I'll be sharing some thoughts this evening written by Lisa Williams, a grief therapist. A large part of grief is learning to have a relationship with a person who has died. Most of us across our lives have understood relationships as the countless different types of connections between people. And the one thing these have in common is that they're between people who are alive. With that in mind, it is no surprise that early in my grief, I believed that my relationship to the person I had lost now lived only in the past. Throughout their life, I'd been filling a box with all my connections to them, and now the lid to that box was slammed shut. Though I could open the box and visit our past, I would never be able to add anything. The relationship was a memory. I spent my time looking backward. With time, I slowly realized that my connections lived in the present, too. I started noticing and appreciating things they would have loved but didn't live to see. I would feel a deep pain because these little connections were a reminder of their absence, but strangely, I also felt immense comfort because these things were also reminders of their presence and the connections we still shared in my new everyday world. Though it took a while, I eventually realized that our relationship was not locked in the past. I could keep adding new things to the box. I've learned that grief in many ways is learning to have a relationship with someone who died. Early on, it felt like the present was nothing but an excruciating reminder that they were gone, and comfort and connection lived only in the past. But ultimately, I realized that the present held many new and evolving connections to them if I could find a way to be open to it. Just like people and relationships grow and evolve in life, so too can they keep growing and evolving in death. I just needed to start looking for them in the present as well as the past.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Thompson. I am Director for Wilshire Hospice and Home Health. Faces of Love is a very special part of our annual Light Up a Life ceremony. Each year, you are invited to send in photos of your loved ones to share with us and all who attend the ceremony. During Faces of Love, we are honored to spend time in the presence of your loved ones, remembering them, offering thanks for the time we had with them. Every face represents a life uniquely lived and all its challenges, joys, and love. This is also a time to thank all those who bring here to remember this evening. Thank them, cherish them, and remember your love for them need never die.
A simple lighted candle has long stood for a flicker of hope in the darkness. The light in Light Up a Life refers to the symbolic lighting of candles that represent grieving as a community, the warm memories of our loved ones, and the hope that we will see through the darkness of our grief to the light of the love we still hold for them. In a moment, hospice volunteer Linda Miller will lead us in a reading and response to bring us together as one community. As she reads, we invite you all to follow along with the response, "We remember them." After the reading, a candle will be lit, followed by a few moments of music and reflection. We invite you to light a candle or a light of any kind wherever you are, along with us, to honor your loved ones as we remember them.
At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for now they are a part of us as we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them. When we have joy we crave to share, we remember them. When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them. For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
My name is Francisca Castello. I'm a nurse with Wilshire Home Health and Hospice. I'll be reading a poem titled The Thing Is by Ellen Bass. The thing is, to love life, to love it even when you have no stomach for it, and everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hands, your throat filled with the silt of it. When grief sits with you, its tropical heat thickening the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs. When grief weights you like your own flesh, only more of it, an obesity of grief, you think, how can a body withstand this? Then you hold life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, no violet eyes, and you say, yes, I will take you, I will love you again.
So close for so long, joined at the hip, joined at the heart, never apart, then suddenly gone. I lost all when I lost you, and I cursed the distance between us. I can't recall when I smiled again, though I smiled again. Time has its way of moving you on. Still my soul ached for yours, and I mourn the distance between us. I reach for you across the mystery. I dream you reach for me. That space between us is deep and wide, but it's not empty. I reach for you across the mystery. I dream you reach for me. That space between us is deep and wide, but it's not empty. It ebbs and it flows, the strength and the sadness, the grief and the grace. And I know I'll always feel the lack of you. But I also know I'll feel the love that fills the distance between us. Love fills distance between us.
Hi, my name is Susan Quinones. I'm one of the nurses at Hospice. I'm going to read a poem called Take Heart by Jennifer Edwards. Take heart, but also take comfort, healing, rest, and love. Leave sorrow amongst the rocks and woods, who most of the time are far stronger, better able to handle such loads. Take courage, but also take honesty, courtesy, empathy, and patience. Leave doubt amidst the deep ocean waters. Watch it sink there until you cannot cling to it any longer. Take faith, but leave with an open mind, an open hand, open arms. Take whatever you need to make it through. Leave what keeps you from going on. Tears only go so far. Fear only holds so long. Though your feet may bleed and your hands tremble, take deep compassion for the suffering of another and journey on.
I want to take a moment to thank all of the many staff and volunteer folks from Wilshire Hospice and Wilshire Health and Community Services who helped to put this on tonight. I especially want to thank those folks behind the scenes who helped us bring this all together for you all. And I want to say a special thank you to all of you who are viewing this ceremony at home or wherever you might be and are joining us here tonight at our Light Up a Life ceremony. This time of year can pull us in many, many directions. We urge you to spend extra time being kind to yourself and being gentle with your grief. Identify those people in your life that can provide a supportive presence and turn to them when you need to. If you need extra support, don't hesitate to reach out to our bereavement counselors. You can find that contact information on our website, www.wilshirehospice.org, or call the Bereavement Center at 805-269-0141. To close our ceremony this evening, I am pleased to invite spiritual counselor Berkeley Johnson to the podium. Thank you.
We have gathered together here this evening with one another virtually and in person. And we have taken time also to be alone. We have retained some memories, and we have let go of some others. We have shared, and we have held back. We have acknowledged our grief, and we have encountered the healing balm of mourning. We have knit together, and we have loosed. We have sung our song, and we have taken time to be silent. We have seen the faces of our loved ones and other faces that we have remembered in our hearts. We have laughed, and we have cried. We have consoled others, and we have allowed ourselves to be consoled. We have reached out in caring, and we have received comfort. We have loved, and we have been loved. And so now as we go forth from this service, may the grace and peace that passes our understanding remain with us in our hearts, minds, bodies, souls, and spirits. And may it continue to sustain us in love and in hope. Blessed be now and forevermore. Amen.